Welcome to another episode of Gully Cricket to Bouncy Wicket podcast. I am your host Srinivas.
Hi, this is Manoj.
Cricket is a high intensity game and lot of us are emotionally attached to this game. We discuss each game for hours, sometimes for days, and we analyze our favorite players right from the first class debuts. Amid all this circus, often we ignore one important human element present right in front of our eyes in the playing field, that is the umpires. We don't give enough credit to them. We don't discuss them unless they make a mistake in high intensity game. We don't make posters for them. We don't make documentaries for them. We don't make biopics for them. And we don't even know their names several times during the match. So many of us don't know how an umpire career progresses, what makes them an international umpire. Can they make a career out of it? In today's episode, let's find out answers to these questions and many more questions. Today, we are going to be joined by Mr. Ravikant Reddy, who is one of the BCCI's top 20 umpires. Welcome to the show, Mr. Ravikant Reddy. Thank you for accepting our invitation and joining us today.
Thanks, Srinivas. Thanks for having me here. It's wonderful talking to you guys. Looking forward. And as you said, umpire is unnoticed. That's when he has done a great job. That's the basic thing. What we have been taught when we started umpiring. Umpire should go unnoticed. So he had a great job when he is unnoticed. Thanks, guys.
So just tell our listeners, Ravi, how did you enter this profession? Is umpiring your first career choice, or you wanted to become something else and you ended up as an umpire?
Yes, Srinu. Actually, umpiring was not a career choice. Honestly speaking, till last 2 years, last 2 years before the COVID had struck. Now again, we are in a dilemma situation, but till the COVID has struck, umpiring is not a profession in India. To make a career out of it, you need to have a sufficient living standard. So so how we go about it? So it was not a career till last couple of years, but now with BCCI increasing number of games with around 2,000 games coming up, so it has become a career part nowadays. But for me to start off with, it was only for passion. I was enjoying on the field. It's more about how you enjoy. It's like if you go by thing, I came into umpiring just by I was just we had a business like shop where I was there. I was in the shop. So one of the person like Venkatrao who was a steel plant. I stay in steel plant, Vizag Steel Plant Township quarters.
Okay.
So I was in the shop just there sitting there. It was a way in 2000 when I was 18, 19 years old, 2000. He was telling to someone, he was speaking to someone that there is a Hindu Trophy tournament from tomorrow. We are looking for a scorer. He was telling to someone. So I was like, so then I asked, sir, I know scoring. Can I come? Because I learned scoring when I was in Elur for work, studying. During my studies, when I studied in Elur, I learned scoring through one of my colleague.
Okay.
So he said, come down. Okay, why don't you come for scoring? Then he saw me scoring. He saw, you got good interest in scoring. Then VDCA started umpiring examination, the umpiring class. So why don't you take up umpiring examination? You are interested. You are just 18. Why don't you take this up? It's not about career, just passion. Enjoy. I enjoyed it. So you can imagine that day it was like my first league match when I went to Vizag District. First league match when I umpired was 60 rupees per day.
Okay.
So 60 rupees. That was staying in steel plant. You need to change 3 buses to go to the stadium.
Okay.
For attending a class.
So that 60 is including your traveling and everything.
Okay. Everything. And that too, that was if you're posted for a game. For classes, you need to change 3 buses and you have to go there. Weekly thrice the classes were there. So attend a class, 3 buses, and for 2 hours class, you come back. So it was never a career, but I was like looking after shops. I was looking after my father's business.
Okay.
Then slowly, when I cleared BCCI exam and moved in, till last 4 years, I was okay. Then I made it now it's a career for us.
So let us say a person like me today, I wanted to become an umpire. So where do I start?
It's like how I started.
Yeah.
You need to attend a district, like different states have a different pattern of this thing, but Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra have domestic structure where we need to start from our district level. So any new guy who comes in has to go for the district panel examination.
Okay.
District panel examination, which once they clear, they are eligible to be doing in league matches and all inside the clubs and club matches and all.
Okay.
And then once you clear district panel, then there will be a state panel examination. I'm talking about Andhra because I do a lot of training programs in Andhra.
Okay.
So we do state panel examination every 2 years or 3 years. We will do state panel examination. It depends on the requirement, but 3 years generally. Every 3 years we do a state panel examination. So once you clear state panel examination, you will be interested to do district matches, zonal matches, selection matches, and you will be watched by the state authorities, whether you are accepting the postings, how you are doing, how the players are responding. Because you get feedback from, you will be doing different sorts of games, you will get different feedbacks from all. So once then you have to appear for BCCA level 1 exam, which BCCA conducts all over India.
Okay.
Every 3 years or 4 years, they will conduct all over India. They will conduct BCCA level 1 examination. That's basically till district panel, state panel, or your BCCA level 1 examination contains only your law book. Once you clear level 1 examination, then you are eligible to write BCCA level 2 exam. Level 2 exam where you have BCCA playing conditions, law book, everything. Once you clear level 2 exam written, then you will be put up to practical viva of level 2. You have to clear practical viva of level 2. Then you will be entered into BCCA panel of umpires of Group D. Then you need to make it into Group A. That's the career path.
Okay, so initially you will enter into Group D and then C, B, and A. Yeah. So each group will have how many umpires, sir? Is there any specific limit or something?
No. See, like Group A has 20 umpires, top 20 of umpires, which also consists your ICC elite umpire.
Okay.
Also consists of ICC international panel umpires. So we have, as of now, India has 1 elite umpire and 4 international umpires.
Right.
So Nitin Menon, we have a Nitin Menon as ICC elite, and Samshuddin, Anil Chaudhary, Virendra Sharma, and Ananta Padmanabhan. These 4 will be your ICC international umpires. So these 5 plus ex-ICC umpires who have already retired, Nandan, S. Ravi, from ICC, who are ex-ICC. So these 20 consists of this. So these 7 plus remaining 13. Who are your best performance? This top 20. Then Group B has 25 umpires.
Okay.
Group C has 35.
Okay.
And Group D remaining. So India has 125 umpires as of now, as on date.
Okay.
So 125 umpires will be 20, 25, 30 and remaining.
So right now you are in Group A, right?
Yeah.
You are a Group A umpire, and for you the next stage will be ICC international umpire.
Yeah.
And I think you have already done an international assignment, right? India versus South Africa women's team.
Yeah.
Does that come in international assignment or how it is?
Actually, that is like more about domestic. It comes under women's international. So it will be not treated as ICC international. It will be women's international. So your top 20 guys will be doing the international assignments in India.
Okay.
When women's or A teams, India A, South Africa, New Zealand A sides and all will be done by these 13 guys who are remaining of the top 20.
Okay.
So generally they go by the ranking order.
Okay. And just we have a question from our Twitter user Aditya as well. So does the women umpires also follow the same pattern? The women umpires are also included in this 20 people, or they have a separate category? How it is?
Women's umpires are in 125 umpires. It's not 20. So they are also have to go the same process. Because they are not only doing women games, they will be also doing men games. Boys under 19, under 16, under 23. So they will also do the games. So we have 3 women umpires as part of in 125. We have 3 women umpires.
Only 3.
As of now 3 women umpires. But in that 2 have been fast tracked to ICC associate panel. Brinda Rathi and Janani have been inducted into ICC associate panel.
Yeah.
So they have to the same career path. They also do Group D. And every game, to evaluate how you go into grouping thing, every game will be recorded by BCCA with 6 cameras, and the match referee will be there every game. So he will assess you on the decisions you make. Also how you have all the decisions you make, also how you have conducted the match, how well you have protocols. On all this, he will be ranking you in a ranking of 100. So end of the match, every match you will get 100 marks. You are ranked for 100 marks. So
Okay.
end of the season, it will be 100 marks will be all the 100 marks will be accumulated, and they will give you a ranking based on that. From Group A, 2 umpires will go down to Group B, and 2 umpires from Group B will go into Group A. So
Okay.
from Group B, 3 umpires will go to Group C, and 3 umpires from Group C to Group A.
Okay.
So samely, Group C, 4 umpires will go down to Group D, and
Okay.
4 umpires from Group D will come into Group A. So
Okay.
every year, this is the process where you are being assessed. It's
Okay.
not that you are in Group A, so you will stay in Group A. If you
Understood.
don't perform, you will go to Group B, and if you perform well, you will come to Group A. So
Oh.
that's how, and the same pattern, women umpires will also go through. As I
Okay.
know, this is the protocol. This is the umpiring pathway of BCCA, which they have very well organized pathway of BCCA as on.
Yeah, definitely. It seems to be a really tough journey. Also, it seems to be going from level 1 to level 2 and then Group D. Generally, we don't, follow umpiring so much, and knowing there is so much difficulty in, going up the ladder seems to be very interesting. So once the BCCI recruits umpires, so do they provide any specific training before they induct them into matches, or how it is?
Yeah, they do provide a lot of training actually. Every year we have workshops to start off with when you have a starting of the season. We have workshops before the season to discuss on the laws, playing conditions, also any particular things which we need to address. If where they have any issue which we need to address, that workshop every year they have workshops. Also last year, because of pandemic, we could not have a workshop. So, but what they ensured is that they have conducted quiz programs.
Okay.
All ICC elite international umpires have taken the responsibility. With Nitin and all 5 of them have taken the responsibility. They have conducted the quiz programs every week. They used to send a quiz. We need to answer them and send them back so that they come up with the answers. If there is any query which is not addressed, it has been discussed. We can discuss. And also each of us umpires have interested one of the elite umpire as a guide, and we have been trained on the virtual. We had a virtual trainings of DRS. We had a virtual training of third umpiring, because hardly in a domestic setup we get very less chances to work as a third umpire until the game is live. If you have a Ranji Trophy, one game will be live. Right. So it's very less chances of third. So what these virtual trainings help us a lot, because it will show us how to talk, what to talk, where we should, what angle should we ask, what cameras should we use. This helps a lot.
If there are few former players who wanted to become an umpire, is there an advantage for them, or is there any preference in the system for them?
Actually, see, I'll keep it in a two phases of discussion. See, first thing, advantage. I accept being a player, it's an advantage because they have went through the process. They know if something is going to spark up. So they know if a potential clash between two players is going to happen. They have been in that situation, so they know how to react. Right. So they quickly take, and if there is an issue which has been going out of the way, they know, okay, this is where we need to stop it. And acceptancy level. See, when a first class player comes in and stands, almost all the players know this guy has already played, and that respect is always there. So being a non-player, I need to work more hard. Right. I need to be more thorough with my laws. I need to be more thorough with my playing conditions. I need to be more thorough how to apply them. It's not about knowing them. I need to know when I need to step in, when I need to step out. So being a non-player, I need to work hard more for that. But players have that advantage so that they know this is where, okay, fine. Because they might have already seen that happening somewhere in their playing days. So generally it sparks, okay, this may happen now. Okay, we need to step in. We'll stop it here. Automatically, that is one thing, advantage. Second thing, coming into BCCI panel. Earlier when we qualified, till 2008, examination pattern was different. From 2008, this level 1, level 2 concept has come in. Okay. Till 2008, before what they used to have a separate exam for non-cricketers and separate exam for cricketers. Non-cricketer has to achieve around 90% in his written. Okay. Whereas cricketer has to get around 70%, 75. Oh. Because that advantage, they played, that advantage used to. Because as I spoke earlier, to the advantage. So that right. See, a player may not be a right good. He may not write good well, but he can umpire well for you. So that BCCI used to take care. So they used to have a different examination for them.
Okay.
But once you qualify, they used to go through the same grind: Group B, Group C, Group B, Group A. They used to go through the same process once you qualify. Now what they did is they are done away with. See, in Andhra, what we do is, if any first class player want to take up umpiring, he will be allowed directly to write a level 1 exam rather than appearing state panel.
Okay.
So we'll provide them the training and all, so that it's helpful. That advantage is always there.
Okay.
So nowadays players are going through the same process of going with the group examination, level 1, level 2 and all.
Okay.
But Tamil Nadu has a very good structure. Karnataka has a good structure. Delhi, Mumbai has a very good structure. How they train umpires. So you see a lot of players coming from there becoming umpires.
Okay.
Fantastic umpires from the states. Calcutta has a good structure of umpiring. Maharashtra, MP.
So do umpires also have annual contracts with BCCI? Like players, they have A categories. Similarly, you have categories now. So do you have annual contracts, or only match fees will be paid for you?
Only match fees, Srinivas. We don't have contracts. BCCI doesn't have any contracts with any of the match officials. Be umpires, match referees, video analysis, scorers. These are all PCT. None of them have contracts.
So how do umpires from Indian level will graduate to the international level? Like international level, again, we have 2 levels, right? Elite umpires and international umpires. So how do from a country level to international level graduation will be there for umpires?
See, as I already mentioned, when you graduate from Group B, so C to B, B to A. Once you go into Group A, you'll be doing a lot of games, like a lot of first class games, which you are under cameras. Live games. See, doing a state domestic Ranji Trophy game in static cameras is different. Doing a live games, because static camera covers you with 6 cameras, whereas live camera covers you with around 16 cameras. But once you move into international, you'll be covered with 26 to 28 cameras, also 32 to 36 cameras in IPL and all. It depends on different levels of game. So once you are in Group A and will be doing a lot of live games, you will be assessed more, and you're consistently doing well. Then your next step would be IPL, where you will be put up into a lot of pressure, where like you will be having teams pressure, you will be having match pressure, you will be having TV pressure, and also you will be having crowd pressure. Right. Once you handle it well, and you get rated by the match referees, players, because see, IPL, everybody is watching you. Once you are set up, you are been ready, proven that you are be ready there to go there, then they will put you into ICC international panel, which is you have top every country in every country. Test countries will have 4 umpires of their international panel, 4 umpires in international panel. So that's how it is. In these 4 umpires will be doing all your international games, because in ICC one-day matches, one on-field umpire will be from the home country. So you will be doing matches in home country on-field. I am talking about non-COVID days, because of COVID now you are having
both are local umpires, right?
Yeah. But I am talking about the non-COVID days, because that is going to come back once this is finished.
Right.
So generally when Nitin was to be Nitin, Anil, Samshu, Viru used to do these 4 games. Then one-day games, and also they will be posted for ICC events like under-19s, ICC World Cup, World T20, on depending on the ranking of the performance on these games. Whatever your performance, because your performance will be assessed by the ICC match referee, ICC umpires manager. They will assess you and they will put you in different games. Once they put you, your performance is good there, you have proven that you can handle the pressure, you can handle the system, then basing on that, because see, ICC elite consists only 12 umpires. Every year they will be having that ranking system, and once they have a slot open there, so they will, like India, all other 10 test playing countries have 4 umpires. Out of 40, who has been doing well as per the ranking, as per their performance thing, they will put up. See, that's how Nitin Menon has went so high in the ranks. See, he performed so well in the opportunities whichever he's got. He performed super. He stood in some of the tough games. See, umpiring in India in an international game, IPL game, is not easy. Around 30 to 40,000 people shouting inside the ground. If you're standing inside, it's not that easy to hear a neck or it's about handling the players, handling the pressure.
True.
See, and you see the games this year. Our guys has done super test cricket. They are one of the best umpiring we have seen. Be it Nitin, Anil, Viru, you had super.
Right. So
automatically these guys now. Nitin has been elevated to the elite panel. Nitin is the elite after Shiva Ravi, Venkat Raghavan, Shiva Ravi, Nitin Menon is now in the elite panel.
So my question here is, like you said, there are 12 elite umpires, right, for ICC. So is there any country-wise cap, or it is purely based on ranking of the international umpires?
There is no country-wise gap. See, you have Australia, you have 3 guys. You have England, you have 3 guys. So it's not country-wise back. See, they will not look at the country thing. That's more about performance. See, you don't have anyone from Bangladesh in that.
Okay.
Like West Indies here. Yeah.
But 4 are confirmed slots in international level for every country, right?
Yeah. That is ICC international panel.
ICC international panel. So because I think that answers one of our Twitter users' question as well, Shankspeare. So he asked why there are lesser umpires in the elite, which means like it is purely based on ranking of the umpires. They'll graduate to the elite level.
Yes. It's more about handling pressure and handling things there. How you see, it's about decision making. Once you get in, it's a different decision making. Every umpire has a different thing. But handling pressure, it's more about teamwork. How you're working as a team, because umpiring is not about individual. It's like a team. See, you have 2 teams on the ground playing against each other. Third team is the umpires who are working to have a successful game.
Okay. So we have another Twitter user question as what quality makes the difference between a normal umpire and an umpire who is going up the ranks? Is there any like confidence it may be, or the game pressure? So what do you think are the key factors for umpires to excel?
See, you have answered my question actually. It's more about confidence in your decision making. The confidence you show on the field, the teamwork you work together. It's like all the umpires, all the 125 umpires who are on BCCI panel are equal at par, because they have cleared all these ranks and came in. The difference there of Group A and B is the very marginal. It's very marginal. See, one decision here and there, it happens. Everybody accepts. But with what confidence you are giving the decision, making the decision, what level the players are accepting that.
Right.
If players start accepting your decisions, they also know. See, everybody knows on the earth that umpiring is human. They may err. You can err at an point, but you can't do a blunder. That's the only difference. If you fault on a law point, then it is a blunder. But if you err on a decision making, players accept it. Players also know. It's like them dropping a catch. It's like them scoring out on a 0. It's like them bowling a no ball. It's also umpire. So the less mistakes an umpire makes, he is more better. That's the only thing I can say.
Manoj, I think you can take on now.
Firstly, I would like to thank Ravi for this great opportunity. It's a pleasure talking to you and discussing cricket with you. We've had many guests on our show, but you're the first one to be coming from the cricket fraternity. I mean, who's still active and doing the job. So thank you for the opportunity. So I would like to start with asking you this. So what sort of match preparations does an umpire do? I mean, especially while going into a high pressure match, high intensity match.
Thanks, Manoj. Thanks for the wonderful questions. Actually, the way I have done a couple of podcasts, like for in Telugu, but this is something different. There's a lot of interactive questions which are clearly interesting. This is one more ideal match preparation is something which we start. See, we have 2 types of preparation: off-season preparation, on-season preparation. Mm-hmm. Already I have spoken to Shin regarding this off-season preparation, like which BCCI interests us. We have training workshops and all, which is off-season preparation. It also covers physical fitness, physical these things and all. When you are going to on-season, it's more about match preparation, as we say. See, if I'll talk you more about go through the domestic level. See, in India, you have a different regions: north, east, west, south. So in south, because our maximum games will be played from September to March, which is like same time. If November, December, it will be shivering chill in north, whereas east you don't have the west you don't have the chill. So one game I'll be doing in Trivandrum. Next game I'll be doing in Surat. Next game I will be doing somewhere in Delhi. Then I will be doing somewhere
Right.
4 games in Calcutta. So you will be doing different parts. So match preparation starts from the game you get the posting. First, you need to understand where you are going. Who is your partner? First thing, who is your partner? Because there are places where you need to travel together. So we will be taken care by BCCI. BCCI gives us flight tickets. They will be taking care of us. Somebody will be there to pick us up. But from there, you need to travel together. So who is your partner? So you have one umpire and one match referee along with you. So you three will plan together. So that is one thing. Second point is what is the place where we are going? What are we going to expect? We don't want any shockers. See, suppose I know I'm going to Delhi or Himachal, Lali. So if I have not been there, I'll be speaking to some other guy who have already been there, who has done a game. So I know what is the climate there, what clothes I need to carry, what are the thermals I need to carry or not, sweaters, whatever the clothing. And then third part would be the teams which I am doing. If I'm doing a game, if I've not done a game of that team earlier, I'll speak to other umpire who has done their game to identify any potential somebody who may be frequently bowling big no balls, who will be tight on the line. Big no balls you can easily pick it up, but somebody who wasn't tight on the line. So if something like that, or whatever the team's behavior, somebody is there to handle it. Who are the senior players playing? Who can create you a potential rucks on the field? These all things will be discussed. And if the moment when I come to know the potential threats, then I will work out when I go to there on the next. See, once you reach the venue, 2 days before you reach the venue, so one day we get a chance to stand in the nets. Suppose I've been told some X is bowling close no balls. I'll go and watch. I'll see that when he is bowling, I'll stand in the nets. I'll get an opportunity to stand in the nets, so I can see. Okay, this guy is this is the place where I can. So where I need to stand when I am working with when he's bowling from my end, whether I can stand. See, generally I stand to 10 to 11 feet away from the 10 to 12 feet away from the stumps. But I will check whether he's a close no ball bowler. I'll check if I can stand a feet 1 feet ahead, or I need to stand 1 feet and see whether his back leg is blocking me. There are few bowlers where his back leg blocks your his front leg. So you will not see his front leg landing, which is tough when you have to call a no ball. So what I do is I will work out on that standing position. Also, this is how you prepare for a game, and then you know what. And again, the basic thing you know about the food habits of yours. If your food habits, if your place where you go, you don't get a food of what you expect. See, generally after 13 years of my career now all over India, you know what you expect where. So it's okay. But there are people who may struggle for food. So they will plan their what to take, what not to take, whether they can take some ready to cook thing. And also that is also one thing which we need to. But one thing I can tell you, match preparation is something which is quite essential for umpire being there, and these are the few factors which we consider during a match.
Great points, Ravi. I think these are very interesting, and if there is any young umpire who's part of our audience, they can really learn from all of these points. Yeah. So next question to you is, what is your take on BCCI not using DRS for Ranji Trophy? I mean, we are assuming that they are not using it for Ranji Trophy. Please correct us if you're wrong. Do you think this is because of any technical issues, or is there any financial issues as a part of this reason? Our friend Ramachandra also wanted to know about this, and he has posted this question on Twitter to us.
Manoj, first thing I'll tell you, BCCI is conducting almost 180 games of 162 first-class games in a season. And at a time, at one round of Ranji Trophy, you will be having 9 games aside. And to set up a DRS thing, you require around 24 cameras, and all the venues doesn't have live telecast facilities. Okay, 9 rounds of Ranji Trophy, 24 cameras. It's not that easy, said to be easy. See, I am not commenting on any other part. I'm just telling you the basic requirements. So this is where you need to understand. So BCCI, wherever they get a chance, they are working on it. And because we had last first class season had a limited DRS where they used there are few limited DRS games happened Because knockout, see, because that's what I said. See, you can't have all the equipment for all 9 games in a round.
Cool, great. So how is the relation between a player and an umpire? I mean, how do you, and the adding to that, how do you handle aggression? How do you handle on-field aggressive behavior of players?
Match preparation. It's also part of match preparation. See, once you step into arena, you know the players. If I have done a game with them, so I know. Suppose I take Delhi or Mumbai, Calcutta. Generally, these teams are a bit aggressive than the other sides. But we know the players, how they are. So relationship is built from the starting. It's not that suddenly out of blue they start. See, first game of mine, first Ranji Trophy game, I may not have any relation with any players. So there, my colleague helps it. My partner, senior partner, my referees, they'll put up. So when we have a captain's meeting, they say this guy has a every team have the youngsters. See, you have to go through the process. Group D, Group B. So I might have done under 23, under 19 games, where I might have done games for the junior guys. Every team has the people of them. So these guys will, senior guys will get a feedback of each umpire. Moment Ravikant and some ex is there, they will ask, who is this guy? Naya dikh raha hai, kaun hai? So, sir, he has done junior games. Hamara match ke acha kar raha hai, aisa hai. So generally, somebody standing in a first-class game or somebody, he has came through the ranks. So automatically, players know, and it's a good confidence. As I said, it's a confidence you show while you're making your decisions. Players will know immediately. Within first hour, they will know how you are. What confidence you are making a decision with. Once that, automatically the rapport builds up. So maybe first after we have 20 Ranji Trophy games, we'll be doing we'll be doing regularly games with that side. Automatically, people start accepting you, and players start trusting you. Once they start accepting you, it's easy for you to go on the field. And as I said, errors are common, but they also know, is he a consistent error guy or he is a good guy who may err something. Once they know you are there, automatically players accept you, and that acceptance level, the relationship builds up. Automatically, sir, okay, sir, if you tell somebody, so how is again how you build relationship with a player also matters. And again, if he asks something, answer politely. See, if he appeals for something, I say not out. He may feel it is out. At that moment, he is aggressive. But after the over, he'll ask, sir, क्या हो गया था वो? ऊपर जा रही है. Or, sir, क्या ऊपर जा रही थी? हाँ. So automatically that reply, you don't need to explain it, but that reply, you see, players expect answers from you. If you give the answer, automatically it's like building. See, every individual has a different perspective of building a relationship.
So one question just occurred to me. See, often we see if there is, serious sledging or chatting between bowler and batsman going on, we often see umpires go and, calm them down. Have you, in your personal experience, encountered any such incident?
See, first thing we need to understand, it is a game played between two humans. It's not a game of a video game where two robots are playing. So emotions will be there.
True.
Emotions will be there. And there are situations, as you said, every game has their own level of emotions. International game have more emotions. IPL will be having some more emotions. Domestic have some. Every game is important to everyone. So you need to understand at what point that emotion is going. And you need to step in when you feel that it is going above at one point. I'll not name any players here, but I'll tell you as instance. During one of the Ranji Trophy, is a current Indian fast bowler. He is bowling, and that opposite guy is a maybe a first class player who has played around 5-10 games. That's it. So this guy bowled a bounce. This guy bowled something. He hit him for a six, and he occurred something. That guy reversed, told something else. So first ball it was okay. Second again he missed it, and this guy went on to him, spoke to him. Then he is walking back. I just went while walking back. I just went, because you have played at this level. You are a so big cricketer. You have played so many tests. You are there, and he is just a starter. So does your stature keep you talking to him? You just understand. That's it.
Right.
Problem solved. So it's again, because you have given him his importance. You are told that you are important. You are part of the game.
Right.
And you are told that because of you, he is learning. He is learning how to play you. He got an opportunity to play you. That is so much. So Then once that batsman come this side, usko bhi aise hi, why you are going getting? You are just starting your career. Why are you getting? So if see, there are situations where your words will not work. Then you need to get into actions. There is a situation where two cricketers came face to face. We need to go and side them because before they hit it. So when match referee came in, so the senior cricketer came into the room and said, "How much fine are you giving me?" He said, "I'm not giving you a fine. You thank umpire that he ensured that you did not touch the other player. If you would have touched him, I might have banned you." Simple.
Okay.
Because fine doesn't matter for them. You see, it's not about money thing. It's like prestige for them. So once he understood that, the next 4 days our work was very busy. So something happened also, we used to tell him, please dekh lena thoda. So he used to come and see. It's again, as I said, you need to understand their role, their importance, and give the respect for their role. Once you give it, it's fantastic. It helps.
Thank you, Ravi, for sharing that amazing experience. So this question is sort of an extension to my previous question. So we very rarely see an umpire losing cool on the ground. I mean, how is it possible? Will there be any special mental training? Because let's say if you've given a no ball and someone says, "Hey, that's not a no ball," they can come and provoke you. So how do you deal with that?
It's experience, I can say. See, we do also have hot heads. We do also have hot heads on the bed. But again, as you said, it's more about mental training, as you said. It's like you need to be there physically present, mentally present, and you need to control your emotions. Same thing. If I also lose my cool, players, as I said, game is emotions. Players are there. He has lost his cool. If I also lose my coolness, automatically there will be rift. And my point is not with that ball.
Right.
I have to continue the game. I have to finish my 4 days successfully. If the same thing happens on the first delivery of a game, and if I lose my cool, then it's like breaking the wall. If you try to break the wall, once the crack opens up, automatically wall will break. So your concentration goes, your focus goes, and automatically you will end up messing up the game. So to keep that out, you need to, if something happens, or if I'm angry also, I will be angry myself inside. Maybe I'll go to the square leg because after the over, I'll get a chance to go to the square. Okay, I might have called a no ball, which was not. So bowler came and said, "Kya sir, andha ho gaya, kya glasses deke, glasses." It happens. See, remove your glasses and see. I said, where I need to. Then I'll go to okay, fine. I'll talk to myself. See, this is what, I'm not saying everybody does the same. Everyone individual has their own routine. So I have a more routine. Right. I'll go, okay, Ravi, cool down. That is right. Okay, fine. You are here, you are done. Okay, fine. Errors happen. See, this is all about mental stability. These are all have been trained. We have been, during the workshops, this is one of the topic which they cover. Like earlier, we used to have, when 2008, we are like 2008, 9, 10, 3 years, we had workshops with Simon Tuffle. When BCCI had a contract with Cricket Australia. So they interested that Simon Tuffle was taking training for all. So because why I'm saying that point, because after that we are having trainings, but why I'm saying is because see the first steps, as it is what you say, when you get into your school, your initial 2-3 years of thing helps you to build your career. That's where it happens. Same thing, like first time we had more about mental training sessions. We are like how to how to make a comeback in a game. If you had you have to make. These are all mental training sessions which are, and it happens. Now also BCCI does that. BCCI every year does the training sessions where we go through all the process. And again, you need to understand. Okay, fine. Now how you are going. See, end of the day, you need to understand that you have to have a smooth game. You need to go unnoticed. That's it.
Sure, Ravi. Thanks a lot. So my last question to you, do you share any special bond with current Indian players, any friendships, any special memories that you can share with us on the show?
Special bonds, like honestly speaking, we have a respect for each and every player. I'll keep my relationship there on the field. Off the field, if they come high, but we don't get into that special. See, I can't say this by this. I have a special reputation, but I have a rapport with everyone, almost maximum guys, so that I can have my game peacefully. My focus is on having a game peacefully. So he knows me. Tomorrow on the field, I have any issue, I can go to him. Boss, Please देख लेना ये. So I maintain that rapport with them, but it's on to the professional team. Personally, it's very limited. We'll keep it to the limitations. It doesn't go into that because see, even everybody has their own life. After the game, we don't get into that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Ravi, for your insights. Yep. Over to
Pleasure.
Sino now.
Yeah, we have 2 more questions from Twitter users. We'll just finish them off. The first question is from Sagarwa. So he wanted to know whether you'll study on few players. There may be players who intentionally, keep appealing, maybe thinking that you are in a little confusion. So we'll ask 2 more appeals, we'll do 3 more appeals. So how do you manage that? You cover that as a part of your match preparation or match awareness? How do you do that?
Yes, Srinivas, already same thing. As I said, in match preparation also we'll work on it. And you are done with their game. This guy is always appeals to us. He appeals more. So if you are sure you are made your decision. See, generally you take a moment 1 or 2 seconds to make your decision, because it's like split second you make a decision, you err. But even though you might have made your decision your mind, but you'll just give a space so that you can understand whether you are giving a right decision. So you see a player repeatedly doing it, then we'll say him straight away. Once he is going, boss, 1 appeal is enough. We know we have made your decision. See, they have every right to make their appeal. But after you answer, they should not. Again, as you said, there are players who there are guys who walk. They know they dig and they walk. See, again, your body language, you go by the body language. See, as I said, if you have a crowd of 30,000-40,000 and all, so it's more about, you can't hear anything. It's more about their body language, the ball, how the ball went, what are the reaction of the players, how did they go. These are all tips which we collect before making a decision.
Yeah, in extension to this question, the same Sagar want to know how umpires usually take decisions in seconds. You will not get a half a minute also, right? Players keep appealing and you have to take the decision. I mean, whether it is out or not out, you have to take decision maybe in 5-10 seconds or maximum 15 seconds. So is there any special kind of training, or when you are not sure whether it is out or not, is there any benefit of doubt that will be there in your mind, or how it works actually?
See, as you said, we make decisions on split second, but
Right.
we make decision on what we see, what we hear.
Okay.
You need to sync both of that. You may see something, but you can't hear. You may not hear it. But you might have heard something, but you may not have seen. See, I may not have seen the ball leaking because bowler might have come in my view. Bowler, when he's going through, if he's in my run up, if he is blocking my view, if I could not see anything, but I heard a sound, I will not make a decision. I'll say, not out, you have blocked me, I can't see it. If I saw something, but I could not hear. See, you need to sync both and make a decision. So split second, it's like experience. It's like once you are there on the job, it's like making you guys sit down, write a program or something. It's a second. See, you need to second. Same thing happens. It's more about gut feeling. Also, you need, as I said, you need to pick up the clues. You need to pick up the clues. So, okay, if you have any doubt, you can't make out what is happening. You go through what are the clues coming up? What was the player's reaction? What was the batsman's reaction? What was the wicketkeeper's reaction? And it takes a second, but it comes by the experience. It's not that comes overnight. But again, it's like, as I said, you need to make decision on what you see and what you hear. If you don't mix it up, then you will mess up a decision.
And just one last question, which is being asked by Harsh Deshwal. So how technology has helped umpires? Has technology helped umpires? Be it DRS or in international cricket, foot no balls are being called by third umpires now. So this will reduce pressure on umpires, or how you look at it?
Technology, I am for technology. Actually, technology, as I already earlier said, it's a game of small margins.
Right.
Game of small margins. 1 run can make a difference. 1 no ball not called can make a difference. 1 inch of a run out can make a see. It's like there is something called parallax, which we see on 3D. When we are on the ground, you have a 3D image in front of you. But your eye rate is you are just blink of eye. Whereas a camera has 12 frames, 60, 120 frames, 360 frames, 1400 frames. There are a lot of frame rates of cameras which we have. So you may see something else, but there is a margin, as a error of a margin is very less. If something comes up, you can always put it up saying that. So that's what the difference made. I can put up, you'll see when the third umpire thing has come up. First, run out on stumping has been referred.
Right.
Umpires were not ready to do it. They're saying we have seen it. Once you're given it not out, and then you go and see on the screen, on the screen, then you have, because your eye is only have a split second. There you have a 12 frames or 14 frames what starting. So you may see line, you have a popping crease, which is a 1.5 inch, half-inch line. So you might have felt that he has made it, but you might have seen the line outside. The batsman was. So that error, so the batsman might have been out, but you have given it not out on the field. So why should that? So that's why we, the technology. So as now no balls. Now you can see there how tight no balls have been there. So people, life of umpire. See now as an umpire, if I'm standing in an IPL game or international game where auto no ball has been called,
right?
It's my life is easy. I'm not even bothered looking at here. My focus is only there on the bat striker side, where I need to focus on my pitching impact and interception. Whereas whether it has hit the bat or not to catch. This is where I need to focus. I need not work, because earlier what I has to do, I have to look at the back foot landing, front foot landing, then I have to look at the pitching, impact, interception. Now that has come down if you are going for auto no ball. And once players know that your auto no balls have been being started to call, they also will come back. Same thing when domestic circuit also, we have, as I told earlier, we cover with 6 cameras. So as our domestic games also, we can refer for stumping. BCCI made a wonderful setup that they have two video analysis with the match referee, who will give them the feedback, give them the videos where they can decide on a run out, stumping and hit wickets. Also, umpires can go and ask him whether it's a no ball or not. See, domestic we don't have auto no ball, but we can, on a dismissal, we can ask him.
Okay.
The batsman may be dismissed out, but because of the technology, he is coming back.
Right.
He might have tight no ball, he might have missed it. So that's coming back. Automatically, technology helps umpires in this way. And as earlier said, removing howlers. So I'm very happy to have a game where we can see, it's again, end of the day, it's the player's game. The player has to play it. So the justice has to be done to them. It's not about umpires or any other individuals. It's the player's game. That players have to play it.
Thank you for joining with us today, Ravi. We can keep talking about this for hours and hours, but we want to be mindful of your time as well. And we'll sign off here for now and hope to catch up with you sometime again. And we'd like to see you in ICC Elite list of umpires someday.
Thanks, Srinivas. Thanks for it. It was wonderful talking to you guys. Actually, a lot of things which were shared and interesting questions. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
So that's all for the episode, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more such interesting episodes. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Bye-bye.